Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another of our. This used to be called the OwnerRez Q&A, but we've actually kind of rebranded it. Today's the first one, so I'm excited to see you guys here. We're now calling it OwnerRez Live. So we found before, I think when we advertised it as a Q&A, like people were just coming if they had questions, and that wasn't the point, right? The point was to share more information with you, our OwnerRez users, and as a community. We do, record these and keep them on file, so make it even more useful for you. So now we call it OwnerRez Live, and we're still going to do your Q&A, but we're also going to just show a couple of new features and maybe some tips and things of that nature. So, this will evolve over time. Right now, this is kind of the first time we're doing it. So, so bear with me if we have a learning curve here. But with that, let me go ahead and share the screen. And yeah, Zach, you see chat in the audience. He is with our marketing team, so he is going to help me answer questions as we go along. And like I said, my name's Steve Clark. I'm the director of customer success here at OwnerRez, if anybody doesn't know me. But yeah, so look forward to getting into it here. So I think what we're going to start with, and I'm going to turn off my camera. You guys don't really care if you see me probably, but we can see the screen here. So we're going to get into it. So here's some of the questions you guys asked when you signed up. And, if you're not here live, that's fine. Like I said, we are recording this. So I see, looking at the audience, some of the people that ask questions aren't necessarily here, but hopefully I can still answer most of them because they might be helpful to everyone. So first, under reporting and analytics, so Austin asks, are there any OwnerRez tools that provide financial insights or algorithm ranking recommendations? So yeah, let me just show you. We actually have a whole new section called the Quality Center. And I think that will be useful in showing you how this works. Trying to think of a larger account I can kind of show because, this is an employee account. I don't think they'd mind me showing you. But if I just show you my account, well, the demo account doesn't have live data in it, so it's hard to show. And my personal account's only got one property, so I don't think it shows off the Quality Center very well. But here is the Quality Center in OwnerRez. So if you go to Quality Center here, the first tab shows you an overview. So, this, and especially it's even better when you have Resi turned on. Resi is our AI, but it will do some sentiment analysis. If you don't have Resi, we can still pull some of the information from Airbnb reviews and whatnot. But the cool thing is it kind of shows you what are your most positive things that clients like about your property, or properties, your portfolio. In this case, this user has like 30 properties, right? So we can see, people really like that it's beautiful nearby. They give clear instructions. It's easy to get inside, and as advertised, right? It looked like the photos. And these are a lot of huge. This is all taken from their messages. Negative highlights just around cleaning, or maybe they were slow to respond or whatnot. So these are things you can look at these and go, well, how can I improve these to make sure these don't continue to happen? And in this case, they're in such low numbers, maybe it's not a big deal. But the big thing is it can show you trends across your entire portfolio. So that's what's pretty amazing about this, right? Like I can look here. So here's ones that had recent sentiment, issues. Is this a trend, or is it just something that just happened, one or two times? Those are really things that can help, increase the quality of your listings. Reviews, once again, you get in the reviews. And before we always had guest reviews and the host reviews, but now with AI, we can kind of do some, analysis of those reviews, because it was great. Reviews come in and you read them and go, okay, that was good. Or, oh man, that was a bad review. Or, you disagree with the person, but then you kind of forget about it, right? Like, oh, well, it's done, on to the next thing. So this really lets you look through and see, once again, what are people liking? What are they not liking? Are these things I can pass on my cleaners to talk about? Whatever. So that's another tool you can use. And I'm not directly financial related, but this is kind of a two-part question. Show me financial analysis, but also how can I improve in the standings and the listings? Well, the main way you can improve the standings and the listings is to get better reviews, to make sure your listings are as advertised. So definitely look at those. And I did just do a focus session, I think, on like a checking your amenities. I'm here to help. I'm sorry, connect and go to webinars. You can see a whole, this is where you sign up for this one, hopefully, but you can come down here and see all the different focus sessions we've done recently. And I think this one on accommodations, amenities, and location that we did a couple weeks ago, it really kind of goes into some details of how you can make sure that you have the right amenities checked and everything so that people are able to find your listing on the channel. So watch that one if you haven't. But then the last thing I'll tell you about on this is the listing quality analyzer. We've had this for years, but this is now part of the quality center. But and you can run this just for one or two listings, or I'm just going to run it for one so we don't have to go through the whole thing. But basically, it looks at whatever channels you're currently connected to, and it analyzes it. Is there anything that's missing or could be improved to make it better for the channel? So here, there's a warning, setting in view. Right now, they've got mountain view checked, forest, and rural, but there's another view type called mountain. Well, if you have a mountain view, maybe you want to click the mountain one too. So we're giving you that warning. This is just a quick, easy way that you might be able to improve. Because right now, if anybody is just checking, hey, I want to go to the mountains, and they check the mountain, property wouldn't show up, right? So that's that. As far as financial analysis, we definitely want to get that, doing AI Resi doing more of that. But right now, I mean, you would definitely lean on your reports. And we have, over 30 different reports. I mean, I don't know which ones you would want to see, but feel free to click in any of these and play with any of them, right? My favorite report, probably out of all of them. I mean, if you do just want a summary, the booking summary report's fine. I can look at the summary and look at just maybe this month. How am I doing, right? And once again, if you have a larger portfolio, it's going to run through and show you what your booking totals are for each property. So that's, quick down and dirty, easy, summary. But if I do want more details, that's when these detailed reports come into play. And like I said, I like the line item pivot. So once again, I can select my period. Maybe I just want to do this month. And when I run that, I can see for a specific, and right now I'm not grouped by, but maybe I want to group it by property, let's just say. I'll rerun that. So it tells me all the totals at top for the whole portfolio, but then it breaks it out. So for this property, for this period, I had 2 bookings, and I can break down how much was rent, how much was cleaning, how much was this, that, the other. And any of our reports you run, you can export to CSV, to Excel, whatever. So nowadays with AI too, you could run this report, export it to one of these, and then put it into ChatGPT or Claude or whatever and say, this data and, tell me, where I could improve occupancy or whatever, right? So that's just kind of an advanced way you can look at things. I mean, eventually, I would love if our AI did that in-house totally. So I think we will get there, right? But it's just, the beginnings of AI were focused on messaging. So anyways, I hope that kind of answers the question. But yeah, I mean, and then the algorithm for ranking on Airbnb and Verbo, I mean, just realize Airbnb and Verbo, they're very tight with that. Even as an elite partner, they don't tell us exactly what drives the algorithm. But I will tell you, it's highly weighted to availability, or this is what they tell us. The more availability you have, the higher you're going to be ranked. If you've got everything blocked off because, I only want to get bookings in this period or whatever, that's going to hurt your algorithm. instant book versus request a book. If you're instant book, we were just talking about this with Verbo the other day, you're something like 30% more likely to get a booking than if you're request a book. So I do know a lot of people are like, oh, but I want to vet the guests and I want to be request a book. And that's fine. That's your prerogative. You can run your business your way. But just realize you might be hurting yourself in that algorithm and might not be seen as well. And then cancellation policy. There is a lot of data that supports the more relaxed you can be in your cancellation policy, the better off you are. I know a lot of people, oh, I want to be on super strict 30 or whatever. I'm not going to give any refunds if they cancel within 30 days because, now I got to rebook it and I might not rebook it. And yes, that's a risk. But how many bookings are you costing yourself by having that more strict cancellation policy? If you reduce your cancellation policy, maybe you get enough bookings that when you do have that occasional cancellation, it's not as big of a deal. So this is what the channels tell us, right? If you want to increase your placement in the algorithm, you want to, have the best deal possible for the guests, right? You also don't want, though, I don't think it should be totally price driven. I mean, obviously, the lower you drop your price, the more bookings you might get. But the lower you drop your price, the worse guests you might get too, right? So, anyways, Trent says on that, guests have learned that you can book a property while searching for a cheaper one and then canceling, tying up your calendar. Yeah, I mean, I personally, maybe I'm just lucky. I mean, I'm an owner of a property. I've been managing it for 5 years. And I think in 5 years, I counted the other day, can't remember what my total booking count was, but I've had like less than 20 cancellations. I don't know. Everybody always worries about cancellations and thinks it's a big issue, but I just haven't experienced that. I don't know what I'm doing differently or why not. I mean, I have, a pretty flexible cancellation policy. Now, if that is a concern, they want cheaper, like Airbnb does have the box too, where you can check, hey, if you agree to no cancellation policy, if you agree to no cancellations, I'll give you 10% off. So you're fighting that objection right up front. They'll get the cheaper price, but they can't cancel. So maybe that's something you want to look into. But anyways, so, and then Trent, I'm glad you're here. I see the next question is yours. He said, are there plans to make dashboards easier to use for viewing current and projected revenue? Yeah, I mean, there are some dashboards we want to do. I mean, that's one thing we're kind of lacking in OwnerRez. We don't have a clear just dashboard view. Once again, though, I mean, we do have the reports. I mean, if you did want to see, current revenue, obviously, like I said, this booking summary report is going to probably be your friend. That you can look for the period and see exactly what the revenue is. If you need detail, like I said, use one of the detail reports. But no, I hear what you're saying. You would like more at a glance, like a dashboard. I will say I'm hoping sooner rather than later we get our MCP ironed out. We do have an open API that's very robust. And in today's day and age, everybody wants to use AI. So more and more people are kind of making their own dashboards in AI. And with the open API, you're free to create a key and you can connect your AI to it at any time. Now, the MCP, if we get that out, MCP or CLI, which is client line interface, if we get those, it's going to be even easier for the AI to talk to. But today, I do know lots of clients that connect to OwnerRez via the API. Once again, now with Codex and Claude and everything, it makes it so easy. Claude Cowork or Codex, you can just basically feed it our AI instructions. And by the way, we have made those very easy for AIs to read. So if you go here to the support center, oops, why didn't that work? It's weird. Somebody was reporting that as an error earlier. Anyways, if I go to the support center, I look at the open APIs here. This is the API for apps is the one that you want. And down here in the documentation, this used to list all the endpoints, and it still does. I mean, you can get all of that. But right here, using an AI agent, here's the mapping for those. So you can basically take this link and feed that to Codex or whatever and say, hey, here's the OwnerRez API. create a dashboard that shows me this and this and this that connects to the API, and it will probably ask you, okay, I need a key, to connect. And you'll basically from within your account go, to the settings area. And then at the bottom, you'll see advanced settings. And in here should be the, API settings where you can create a key and give that to chat and it can connect it up. So yes, I want to get it, obviously eventually we want to have that in-house and internal, but in the short term, you can definitely use AI to accomplish that. So yeah, you said feels like you have to use AI to get a more executive style dashboard. Correct. Today, that's probably your best bet. We've gone back and forth about developing our own dashboard, but it's just one of those things. We develop it and then somebody's gonna be like, well, I want it to do this. I want it to look this way. I want it to look this way. And I don't know, with the new AI capabilities, you could create one that's exactly how you want to see it, and it's pretty easy. So yeah, I mean, do I see us making our own dashboard eventually? Yes. Is it on the roadmap today? No, there's just so many other things we're working on that I don't think that's, a current roadmap item, to tell you the truth. So anyways, all right. No, it might not be the answer you wanted, but that's the answer I'm given. So all right, Sherry, how do I set up WhatsApp to work with my OwnerRez SMS number? Is there a way to ensure specific guests receive messages through WhatsApp? Yeah, so I mean, we have a pretty good support doc, on how to set up WhatsApp. So I will say Meta is a beast to deal with sometimes, but and and I think your original question when I actually looked through was like, can you show me how to set up? If you write in, we could set up a one-on-one session if you're having troubles, if you've moved through this and it doesn't work for you. But I can't really show you on this call. That's not the purpose of this. But also, I don't have a WhatsApp connect, I don't have a Meta business account to connect to show you. But once again, this is something new we've released. So the documentation is very current. So these screenshots should be able to walk you exactly through how to connect. So, I mean, if you haven't looked at this, go through and just follow this step by step. And I think that will help, right? As for, can I set up who to message with? As of today, because of the, once again, WhatsApp just came out. It's kind of in the version 1. WhatsApp makes you, before you can just start chatting with them, you have to send a message that says, hey, I'm a business. Can I talk to you? Basically. And they have to, authorize that yes, we're going to open this connection or whatever. So, and Meta is very strict on how that opening message can be worded and what can be sent. So we have that today, right? Like when you start the process to talk to the guest, you send that initial message, and then they say, "Yep, I'm willing to talk to you." But the problem is, it times out after a while. It only works for 24 hours or whatever like that. So if you go to start a new conversation with them again, it's got to send that starter message. So due to some of those limitations, we have not added triggerable WhatsApp messages yet. So, your question, how do I send, some guests a WhatsApp and some, not? Today, you can't do triggers with it. It will just be another in the booking itself. When you go into a booking, for instance, you'll have the messaging down here. So you'll see this account has WhatsApp turned on. So I can initiate a WhatsApp conversation by clicking this. It's going to go through the inbox and start that WhatsApp. But WhatsApp's going to be more of a like one-on-one conversation right now. I mean, we're still working on it. The goal is to get it to work just like SMS and Airbnb messaging and everything else, where it can be triggerable. And then, of course, you'll be able to set, conditions on those triggers as who you want to get a WhatsApp and who you don't, right? But I will say we're very early on in WhatsApp. It was just kind of came out of beta. So it's still being developed and worked on. But Hope that helps answer that. All right, Tina, what new features or functionality have been added recently that I should know about? Yeah, I mean, that's part of what we're going to do. So I'm going to talk about at least one new feature. I mean, I will say in your account, we try to mark what's new. So, when you do go in your account, look for some of the things. So here under settings, it says new. And when you go there, you can go through and you can see, oh, WhatsApp's new. So that's something. So when we do release a new kind of feature that you can, partake in, we really try to put that here in an app. We also up here will, all the time tell you, so our product updates are huge for that, right? So you should see this and you can click here to read more about it, and it will take you right to our blog that has the product updates. So I highly recommend looking at those. But if you want to be in the latest on what's new, come here, and you can even filter these by product updates. So we've got 182. Every month we release a new product update. So definitely check those out. I mean, obviously I could talk all day about what's new. And like I said, I am going to showcase, like in this one, we talk about my support as being new. And that's what I've picked as kind of the thing to talk about in then one of the next sections of this session. But yeah, so that's kind of a broad question. And I would encourage you to research it yourself by checking out that blog. Where can I find features that have moved, particularly messaging, email, and the guest portal? Well, once again, I would read those product updates, but nothing's moved per se. Go back into the account. Apologies. So messaging, I mean, we changed the booking overview screen, like, I don't know, it's probably like 6 months ago now. And I know there, some of the, like, these buttons used to be bigger buttons here. So people think, oh my gosh, I can't find my messaging. I mean, it is all still here, right? Like if I want to just email this guest, I mean, here's that button. This isn't through the inbox. This is just sending an email, and I could pick a specific template, and I could populate that, and I could send that, right? So that's where you email a guest. Up here, when you're in it, is how you would get to the inbox. You could do it from here. If I do it from here, it's going to filter the messaging just for this user, Jesse. Also, we've moved messages down here. So if they've got a message they're already talking to you through, like this is a booking.com guest, if I wanted to say something to them, I can just click here to continue that conversation, and it's going to take me to the inbox filtered for just this contact. So now I could talk to them on booking.com, or maybe I want to send it via SMS instead. But messaging, for the most part, all lives in the inbox, which is a primary menu button over here. So, I mean, nothing with messaging has moved in quite some time. So I'm not exactly sure. If you are on the session and want to ask in the chat more, I would be more than happy to talk to you. And then guest portal, we call that My Stay, and that is brand new. But once again, I did a whole session on that. So I would recommend, rather than us cover it again here, come to here. And if we do My Stay, here's a focus session on it. Here was the first look when it first came out back in June. I did a first look, but then, people had more questions and we felt that it was really important to cover it. So within a month, I did a whole hour long on just that topic. So I would highly recommend watching that. Okay. Oh, sorry. Oh, got ahead of myself. Verbo integration and onboarding. What is the status of the new Verbo API changes that will make it easier to onboard, secondary, or in your case, tertiary Verbo accounts. So he has multiple Verbo accounts, and how we used to connect to Verbo was through what was called a XML file, was JSON, and really it just created a task that Verbo had to do on the back end. We're sending them all the info, but then a live person had to accept that and then set it up. And for whatever reason, I don't know if they reduced their personnel. They haven't really told us the cause, but it went from taking 2 or 3 days to creating a new connection to over a month. And we saw this happen back in COVID era. Back in 2020, when COVID hit, a lot of their employees didn't come to work or whatever. Um, and we got this big backlog. Well, for whatever reason, they're having this backlog again. So there is a new API, basically for those that are techie, which sounds like Trent is a little bit. Instead of using XML, we're using what's called GraphQL, I believe it is. It's a new, Verbo switch to that technology. So we have it all coded. We're connecting to it. We're adding users on a case-by-case basis while they're kind of testing it. But that testing is going pretty well. There's still some areas where, I don't know, you'll get it onboarding and it just gets stuck. But even with it getting stuck, they're able to fix it within, hours rather than a month. So, Trent, in your case, if you have a pending one that you've started, just email us and say, hey, I've got this Verbo connection that's been sitting there for 3 weeks, 2 weeks, however long it is, and I would like to get it onboarded. What we'll do is we'll have to email and say, can you reset um, Trent's connection and then do it this way? Okay, so if you're about to onboard in the next couple of weeks, hopefully we'll have it flipped over to the new way for everybody. But if not, just email us and we can get you set up with onboarding. And we basically have it where it's called a feature flag, where we have to turn it on for your account. And like I said, since it is a new process, they can probably go through it with you just to make sure that you understand it the first time. But I would go through our onboarding team, set up a call with them, and they'll be able to kind of walk you through it. So yeah, obviously you've done this 4 other times, so you're used to the old way. But this new way is coming. Like I said, it's in kind of a beta test piloting period right now, but I do hope that that's going to be fully released. We're still just trying to get through a couple of these kinks before we say, hey, anybody and everybody, use this, right? So, all right, Janae, how do I properly set up and manage seasonal cancellation policies? Yeah, so, and I'm sure Zach's going to put an article up here. But, and this is a question too, just as an example. We haven't really showed this, but, if you have that question, ask it here in plain language, right? How do I set up a seasonal cancellation policy? If we have an article about it, this should kind of walk you through the steps, So anyways, we come in here, here's the setup options or whatever. But Resi is going to come in and say, okay, you need to go to settings, pricing, and then seasons, and either create a new season or select an existing one. Go to the rules section and go to cancellation policy. So in practice, what it's telling you to do, you're going to go to settings, you're going to go to seasons here, and if you want to add it to an existing season, let's say I wanted to add it to the summer season, you can see down here, there's different cancellation policies. Now, this is one of our test users on the new Verbo, so you'll see a Verbo one here. In your account, you're probably not going to see Verbo yet. Remember I mentioned that underlying change in architecture? Once we've got that pushed out to everybody, then Verbo seasonal policies will work. Right now in yours, you're just going to see a direct one, and you're going to see an Airbnb one. So basically for those 2 channels, you could set up a different cancellation policy just for this season that's going to override your normal cancellation policy. Like I said, Verbo, once we get that released, hopefully, I don't want to give a timeline. It's hard to say just how long testing takes, but soon we will have it for direct, Verbo, and Airbnb. So anyways, Booking.com doesn't support it in their API yet, so that's not one that you can do it on. But it should be relatively easy to set up the cancellation policy. I'm not sure if you've tried and had issues. Obviously, if you run into an issue with this, email support. But I do recommend after you set it, let's say I'm doing it for Airbnb and I choose one here. In this case, I'm choosing it for summer, which is, May 1st to November 30th or whatever. I would set that cancellation policy, give it a couple of minutes to sync to the channel, and then I would open Airbnb and I would act like I'm a guest and try to book one in April and see, hey, what's it saying in my cancellation policy? And then I would try to book it for May of next year. Did it change the terms, right? I always recommend you're doing something new for the first time or changing something, test, make sure it's right. So cool. That was all the questions you had. I appreciate those. I see there was a couple other questions, and I think Zach answered those. I'll just go through real quick. Joe, my county will not accept Airbnb lodging taxes. The host is responsible for the tax. What is the easy way to collect the tax for the guest? Okay, yeah, I mean, I don't know if. Oh yeah, so I see that Zach put a thing in here, but I mean, just to show you real quick, I mean, if it is, yeah, there are certain municipalities that Airbnb doesn't collect for. I mean, regardless, you want all of your taxes set up in OwnerRez. So you should be setting them up, because if you're doing direct bookings or Verbo or anything, like in here, you see how these taxes are set up everything but Airbnb. Well, that's because in this county, Airbnb is collecting it. So we want to collect it on every channel except for Airbnb. We don't need to tell them about it. But if I had another tax that Airbnb is not collecting, like you said, I would just create the tax. But then, so like you said, it was a lodging tax, right? So we'd create the lodging tax, call it whatever it is. You're going to do the percent. Let's say it's 5%. I don't know. But here under channels, I would just say all channels. I wouldn't limit it to everything but Airbnb. I would have all channels. And that's going to pass it through to Airbnb, and they should charge the guest for it and pass that back to you as part of the payout. So yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. I see Trent asked too, when I was talking about quality center, how do you clear out a quality health center item? There's no way, really. I mean, it's a snapshot, right? It's a report almost. So yes, I mean, I have a negative, 7 negative things here in February, and maybe I addressed those and it wasn't negative anymore. I mean, if you are using Resi and it's doing the analysis, and the guest's last response is, hey, no worries, I love the place, thanks for taking care of that, everything's great, Resi is going to change the sentiment to positive anyways. So it's going to, the overall sentiment will be positive for that booking. But, this is mainly looking at review stuff. So if the review said you're dirty or dusty, yes, maybe you corrected that and it's not dirty anymore, but it was. And it's important to know that that was the review that was left. So there is no way, I mean, data is data. You shouldn't manipulate data to meet your needs. I know for some reason there's a lot of people that are like, especially when they go into the booking itself, they're like, why does that show a sad face on the booking? They weren't sad. And it's like, well, as far as the messaging goes, they were, right? Like, here's one that was severe cleanliness issues or whatever, right? So if I go into that booking, up here it says sad, angry. Now people said, well, but I fixed that and I fixed it through an email or whatever. Well, right, emails don't come in, so Resi can't read those. But if you did it through messaging and you directly ask the guest, hey, did this take care of your problem? So sorry this happened. This was the resolution. Did it take care of it? If they answer back, yeah, no problem, I understand, things happen and da 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 da. Now they're happy. The sentiment, Resi's always reevaluating every message, it reevaluates it. And if it feels it's happy, that booking's going to be happy. So yeah, there's no way currently to flip it or set it, because the whole point is for it to look at the data and make determinations based on the data. So all right. So that's the Q&A. So cool. I did want to move into, like I said, this is something we didn't necessarily do so much before. But we did just get back from our road show. I don't know if I met with any of you during the road show, but we did talk a lot about roadmap in person with those folks, and that seemed to be really, appreciated. So I did want to bring that here. Obviously, we're working on hundreds of things. We do this session every 2 weeks. So I'm not going to go down and talk about every single thing we're working on. I kind of just picked top 3 that are big features that we're really excited about. So the first one I want to talk about was Homes and Villas by Marriott. This has a lot of people have been, asking for this for some time, and we finally got the connection done. So it is, they're basically in a pilot as well. And they are being they're already very specific, right? Like they always, even if you have 50 properties in your portfolio, you might submit those all to them and they might say, well, only 10 qualify. And they do have rules. Like, unfortunately, if you only have 1 or 2 properties like myself, you will not qualify for Homes and Villas by Marriott. They do require you to have a portfolio of homes, and they have to be, like it says, it's curated and the highest standard. So you submit that you want to use them, and they look through your portfolio and they decide whether they want, your portfolio. So, we get lots of people go, man, I want to be in that. I want to be in that. So there is a forum post here, and I'll go ahead and put that here in the chat for you. If you're interested, come here. Bree, one of our product managers, has been in touch with them and been talking to them. This is a form they gave us if you're interested. So if you're interested in having your properties listed there, click on this form. Like I said, they're going through and kind of right now during the pilot selecting who they're going to connect up front. Once we've got a few under our belts and they agree that everything's great, then we'll open this to everybody. But that's where we're at right now. So if you are interested, you think your properties qualify, click here and fill out the information. So yeah, but that's super exciting. Like I said, we've got most of the work done on our end. They're just going through their testing and making sure that we're doing everything right. So that's super exciting. The next one I want to talk about is snippets. So these are basically custom content blocks that help simplify your templates, standard replies, portal messages, things of that nature. We basically, in our templates, right? You can have an email template, an SMS template. You have these different ones. The reason for that is because like email allows rich text, SMS doesn't and stuff. So, but also when answering, if you're directly answering a client or a guest, if we found sometimes that the big long templates don't really apply. So we created snippets to make it easy. And this is on a test environment. It's not live yet, but I figured I would show this to you real quick because it's pretty cool. So you'll see in settings, there's this new snippets area. And bear with me, this is a test server. And so it runs a lot slower than production does. But in this case, I've created a new snippet just called trash. And so when you create a snippet, you give it, what you want. Gosh, go away. You create what you want the shortcut to be. So in this case, it's /trash. And, create the body, whatever. I guess I should just create a new one. You can also set when does this apply, I believe. Is it? Oh, no, wait, maybe not for a snippet. I'm thinking something else. So, and I can say, are these private to me? Or if you do have a bunch of team members, I can share them with the team to kind of, centralize your messaging. But in this case, I've made this one called trash, right? So if I had a guest that email, and the cool thing about here, you might say, well, I have custom fields now, but you can't embed custom fields in custom fields, right? Like that was one of the issues. So anyways, now if I had this guest, they messaged me, and let's say they messaged, right? When do I have to take out the trash? I don't know. Maybe that's a common question you get. I don't know why I came up with that as an example, but that's what I did. So anyways, they're asking, when do I take out the trash? Now, rather than having to type that out, I mean, hopefully you have an FAQ and you're using Resi and Resi answers it, but snippets are free, whereas obviously Resi is an extra cost. So if you're not using Resi, you now have a snippet. When do I need to have the trash? I just have to know, I'm going to type /trash, and it says, okay, here's the snippet. You know, if I had a whole list of them, it would list a bunch of them. But I can now just insert, please take out to the trash, and I put in a field code for the date, their date of departure, right? So you see this booking is the 17th to the 21st. So it's saying, please take out the trash to the curb prior to the checkout on August 21st or whatever. So just a quick example of what you can do. I mean, there'll be so many different use cases for snippets, but it's just to help streamline your messaging, especially when you're chatting with a client. You can make these snippets very easy. Pretty sure they'll also be embeddable in templates and whatnot, so that you can have these apply across different messaging types. So that's just something I want to show you. Like I said, it will be out. It's through testing, and I think that's going to be out very, very soon. The other thing, and as current users, which I assume most people are on here, this might not be that exciting to you, but maybe you're one of our affiliates and you suggest OwnerRez to other people. One of the main things people have always said is like, OwnerRez is great, it gives me all the tools I need, but setting it up can be a bit of a bear, right? So we have a brand new setup wizard, and this is on production, but right now we're just kind of slow rolling it. So I think just a certain percentage of new users go through the new setup, whereas some users go through the old one still. But once we have determined this is good, we're going to be turning this on for everybody. But just to show you that real quick, once again, this is on the test server. But when I first start an account, it's going to take me to here. It says, hey, let's get your account set up. So what's the name of your business? So I'm going to say Blue Ridge Cabins, like I've said here. Whatever your business name is. If you have an existing website, you can put that in. And you basically, it just walks the user through, the questions. Before, we had some of the same stuff, but it was a big kind of wall of text. Now, kind of more like Airbnb does, I guess, we're walking them through each step of the questions. I mean, these first ones are easy, right? It's just, I'm just getting started. I haven't used another software before, and I learned about it through ChatGPT, whatever. When I get to more of the exciting part, this is just form stuff. But here, when we get here, like this is where life starts to get a little bit more easy, right? Do you already list your properties on Airbnb? If you do, we can import them. If not, you can set them up manually. Now, I don't have an account to connect to, so I can't really show you this flow. But they would basically, let's say they're going to say, no, I'll just type it in. I'm not on Airbnb yet. So they can set up manually. Once Verbo, we get the new thing out, there'll probably be an option. Do you want to import from Airbnb or do you want to import from Verbo? But today it's just Airbnb. So anyways, they would, put in their information here, walk through all the information, and makes it very easy. How many bedrooms, how many baths, what's your max guest count? And they can create that property. Then it's going to talk about rates and importing bookings and what's your cancellation policy. Like all the things you need to do to set up a property, it moves them through step by step by step. So this is really exciting. I think it's going to make it easier for new clients to join on board. And this has been a long time coming. So I can't tell you how excited I'm about this. Maybe my voice isn't portraying it, but this from somebody who does support all day long too, this is going to make our lives so much easier internally, which will give us more time to help support you guys and develop and do everything else. So so that's super exciting. So those are the three things today I wanted to show you. Like I said, we're going to do this presentation every couple of weeks. So hopefully this is something you come back and I'll have new stuff to share at the next one. So the last thing I wanted to do is, and somebody asked before, what new features are there? So another part of this presentation we want to do every week is what's a feature maybe people don't know as much about or they're not using as much. So for today, I wanted to pick the new support features that are built right into OwnerRez that you might not have checked out yet. So the one is, AI help with Resi. So I already showed you on the main web page, you can search with Resi and it's going to support our support documentation. We've had that for a few months now. But now, right in the account, if I needed information about a booking, I could go to that booking page, ask a question, and it's going to look at that booking information and be able to answer my question more intelligently. Additionally, maybe I have a question about setting up taxes. Maybe we can do that. And it will show me more about what taxes I have set up now, how I can set them up better, things of that nature. So this is really cool. And then in addition to that, when we added that, we also added this My Support area that keeps a record of your history with support. And you can look back on past conversations, forum posts, tickets, all in one place. So let me just, um, and for that, I'll just go into my account. Let me show you behind the scenes how we look at accounts. But this is my account. Apologize. Okay. So now if I had a question, and the reason I didn't pull up another account, I don't want to put questions on somebody else's account. But now when you go to help, this was the help button. And it used to, when you would go here, it would pull up this flyout. Now, as you saw, I can still get there by saying my other help and resources. Or I can, this is also accessible under your profile. Oh, let me get rid of Essie there. Help and resources, right? So it's still there. If you like this old menu, you can still use this to get to the support center and things of that nature. But the primary support driver now is Resi. So this Resi is not the paid Resi. It's totally free with your account. So I can come in here and I can ask it anything I want about the booking. So let me go into an actual booking first. Let me go into like this one or whatever. So now if I open help and if I had something I needed to know about this booking, I don't know, maybe I could even say I see the current charges on this booking. Have they updated recently? Because as you probably know, sometimes you change a charge or something, but you don't see the old charge. What was it before? If it has updated, what was the charge before? Um, Now, I don't think this booking's changed, so I don't think it's going to give me any information. But as you see here, it's looking at the actual booking data. It's not just looking at support docs like it did before. Oh, this one I did charge because they lost something and I had to ship it to them, so I had to charge them an extra $25. So this was a good example. But it says yes, the charges were updated on July 31st. Steve Clark, me, added a lost and found shipping charge. So once again, if you have a team and you're like, man, this booking looks different, it changed. A common question we would get is, who changed this? Because we didn't surface that information very well. Now you can go in and see who added the charge, what date it was added. So the total booking went from 892 to 917. And then I collected a payment for $25 via Stripe on that exact same day. So this is the next level of information that's gonna be pretty awesome, right? So then I could go, well, let me just close this and I'll go back into Resi. I could access it from the bottom too, but now if I had a new question, or let's say it's a week later and I'm like, man, I know I asked about that, but what did Resi tell me? I can go to my support and you'll see here's my past Resi conversations. Booking charge was updated with lost and found fee. I want to know about that. All you gotta do is click on this and it will pull it back in so you can read about it again, right? So my support, the three main things here are your past Resi conversations. You can look back on those. Any support ticket you've submitted, and you can see obviously I started working here in 2021, so I haven't had to submit any support tickets since 2021, but we've gone back through the history and actually pulled up the old, every ticket I've ever sent in. Now, I will say in version 1 here, all it tells you is the ticket title, what the date was, and whether it's open or closed. Um, I can't click on this and pull up information. We're working on that. That's something I think that we'll see in the future. But for right now, at least you can see, did I submit a ticket about this before? I can't remember. And the tickets are in your email, so you could go to your email and now I could search my email for trigger not triggering, right? And find out what did I say on that email. So that's pretty cool. And then forum activity, if you post in the forum, or you vote on things or you watch posts, sometimes it can be hard to find those things. Well, now right here under my support, I can see here's all the ideas I voted on. And once again, I voted on most of these back in the day. But anyways, or if there's tickets I'm watching, I want to see what did other people do about this, I can go through and see tickets that I'm watching. So yeah, really cool feature. This just rolled out within the past couple of weeks. So if you're not using it, I think people are conditioned right now. Oh man, I got a question. Let me pop up my email browser or whatever, my email tool, and let me email help@OwnerRez.com. Ask here first. Ask your question. What do I want it to do? People, everybody I've talked to in person and whatnot are like, man, I love that I can get the answers right away now. Now, obviously, if it gets to a point it doesn't answer your question, it's actually going to tell you at some point, do you want me to create a ticket on this? Or you can force it. You can say down here, after I have a chat, I can say, you know what, create a support ticket. But the good part about that is it's going to take the context of what you've already talked to Resi about and insert that into the support ticket as well as whatever else you end up typing in. That way, right now, I'm sure some of you experience, if you send in a support ticket, let's say the person who wanted to know how you create a tax. In the past, you say, how do I create a tax? And we say, hey, we have a great support doc on that. Go check out the support doc. Well, then you get the reply and you go, I have looked at that support doc. I don't understand X, Y, Z. Well, now we don't have to do that back and forth because you've already done that with Resi. We have the context of what Resi's told you, and we can assume that that wasn't helpful to you, right? So, so yeah, this is something I just really wanted to bring up. And if you are talking just up here, you can do a new chat. Like I don't have to close it and reopen it like I did before. Once again, if I'm in my Resi conversation, and then I remember Resi's a chat. So if this didn't answer my question or I want to know more, I can continue asking it, more details about this. But if I went now and said, hey, how do I enter a tax? It might get confused because it will think it's part of this chat. So just always, when you want to start new, do a new chat and it will start with a brand new instance, of that chat. So anyways, yeah, I think that's what I wanted to show on that. So, and my support, you like I said, you can get it from help. You can also get to it here from your profile. You can go to my support and it's going to come to the same page. So, but I hope that's helpful. And once again, like I said, we're going to do this every couple of weeks. Maybe I'll have Zach, just a note for you. Maybe we can send out too, hey, what's a feature you want to learn more about or something in the registration questions. So I can take a look at that ahead of time. And if there's an overwhelming need to learn more about a specific feature, we showcase that feature as well. So, okay. Well, I do appreciate it. If there's any other questions or anything I missed, I've been trying to follow along in the conversation here. So, but there is a Q&A here section. I forgot to mention that. If you have a question, pop that in there. I'd be more than happy to answer it here at the end. But with that, I think we're wrapping it up. So, yeah, I just always like to tell people, we always show this at the end of all our webinars. Use all these resources. The support docs are more than helpful. And now, the layer on top of that is you can ask Resi, which is totally free. So you can ask directly in your account, like I just showed you, or from the website. You can ask Resi from there too. There are tons of support videos. If you're like me, you learn more by watching than actually reading. Zach, I always give him props because keeping up with the support videos is a tough job, and that's one of his responsibilities. So I appreciate that he keeps those up to date. We do have a forum. Chat in the forums, as you saw, that's where a lot of people put feature requests. You can chime in on what feature requests you want to see. The higher votes they get, the more apt. Like somebody earlier wanted that dashboard. I'm sure somebody's asked that before. Look in the forum, see if there's a post about that. And if so, add your 2 cents, how that would help you out, and vote for it. The more votes we get, the more apt the devs are to work on that feature for you. I mean, the last thing they want to do is spend tons of time working on a feature, not get it right, or, it's a feature that only one person uses, right? We have over 8,000 clients. We want to make sure the development dollars and development time spent are, helping the most people. So check out the forums. Blog posts, as I said earlier in the presentation, we do a product feature in there. We do customer testimonials in there. Maybe one of you will be featured on one of those soon. If you are ever interested in that, you can reach out to our marketing team, and which you can reach through the regular email, and just say, hey, I'm interested in being featured. They're always looking for people to talk to, because we love hearing your story. We love learning more about how you use OwnerRez, because we want OwnerRez to be the best resource for you that it can be. And these webinars, we try to do these. I mean, we have probably one a week. If not a regular webinar, we definitely have our demo webinar every week, once a week. So, and then if none of the other help, support help at ownerrez.com. So, all right. Well, I really appreciate the time. Glad everybody could take an hour out of their day to listen to me talk. And we will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.